Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Alicia Dreaming, and this is actually not my first video talking about Moon Knight, but this is me talking about Moon Knight once the show is all over. And I just finished it yesterday. Today's Thursday, so I finished it on Wednesday. And okay, so there's several issues that I wanted to tackle. I can't actually, I'm having trouble with OBS. I don't know why. I was thinking of talking about it point by point, but I'm gonna have to just bring it up on my laptop and then talk about it and keep pausing, I guess. But so, okay, so here we go. I had made a video, so you don't have to go back, but I will include the links down below. I'm not going to include the links to all the, to the discussion that I was reading from, because it was made for me, but I don't want to put too much, focus on the Jewishness that, because I'm gonna be straightforward with you. I want to focus more on the dissociative identity disorder representation that we saw, because I think honestly, I think that my biggest concern going into this was that Oscar Isaac is not a Jewish man. He may have Jewish ancestry, but that does not make you a practicing Jewish person or culturally Jewish, you know. So that was my biggest issue, and I will link my video on that where I actually asked a friend of mine who is Jewish to talk about that issue, and how, because Mark Spector is Jewish, and they even show him going home for a shiva, and his mom's actually, but we still don't get because apparently in the comics, which I have not read, but I do plan on reading soon, he was the son of a rabbi, and he did not have did. He was possessed by Khonshu. And so there's these things that rise up, some people were saying some people were saying that, well, they wanted to use a man of color for Moon Knight because he's an Egyptian god. I'm like, okay, well, Oscar Isaac may be a man of color. There's some debate about whether or not he's a white Latino, which I'm not going to get into. We're just going to assume that he is a man of color for the sake of this video. But, I mean, there's other Jewish men of color actors out there that that could have been tapped to play Moon Knight, Mark Spector. My favorite pick was Daveed Diggs. He's African American and Jewish, and he's, there's no question about the fact that he's definitely a man of color, but also too, he's culturally Jewish. So I think he could have brought in some nuance to that scene where they're talking about his faith and stuff. But I feel like from watching the videos, I'm gonna link the videos to two of the reviews that I saw by BraiDIDbunch. There's also another one, another reviewer that I was watching, Infinity Systems, but I found his approach a little bit too he was doing this thing where he was tallying up good representation and bad representation of did, and I was like, okay, but everybody, you could tally it up, but that's it's still your opinion about whether or not it's good or bad representation. And I kind of liked BraiDID's, I mean, I'm still going to link Infinity Systems videos, because I think it's worth noting that this development of the dissociative identity disorder was exclusively for the show. It was not in the comics. He was possessed in the comics. So it's, but like overall, let me talk about what I did love about the show and what first I'll talk about what I loved. I loved Layla. Layla is like, has my heart. She looked amazing as Talbot's avatar. And like, if this is, by the way, this is not spoiler free. This is so spoilery. So many spoilers. Please back out now if you have not seen the entirety of the show. I loved Layla. I kind of think we could have done without the whole she didn't know that Mark had dissociative identity disorder, because like I felt like they were putting her in a very ableist light. Like how does somebody with DID hide that from their spouse, you know? And then they had the revelation that Mark had failed to save Layla's father, and that was not great. I would have liked to have delved in that a little bit more, and honestly, I kind of wish that we could have gotten a less hectic show, because like I look at I'm comparing all the MCU shows on Disney Plus when I talk about how hectic it was. Like it felt like it needed a lot more exposition and maybe like a flashback to not just the traumatizing bits of when he developed Stephen Grant, but maybe like that reveal at the end of Jake being Khonshu's avatar was kind of upsetting, because like, okay, yeah, what happened to Stephen Grant then? What happened to Mark? What happened to Layla? It's all up in the air, and it's like, some people had been speculating. I had seen this around, and I didn't actually go and watch the videos because I wanted to formulate my own assessment of the show. But I feel like there wasn't really, I mean, there was one Easter egg that clearly did point to Jake, but I don't like that his name, even like his name is supposedly Jake Lockley, I think. And I don't like that he's the Spanish speaking one. And I'm like, I don't think that Spanish is, that like Latinos have a monopoly on it. Obviously there's Spaniards, there's white Spaniards that speak Spanish, and there's white Latinos that speak Spanish. It's a colonizing language. I don't care about that. It's fine if you want him to speak Spanish. I just feel like Marvel had the chance to make this property all with MENA actors. You know, Jewish people like David Diggs, who, I mean, we know that Jewish people have MENA ancestry, and we know that David Diggs is black, so obviously he's got African ancestry from the southern parts of Africa. But like, I feel like they put in a Latino actor, and he was like a fish out of water. The Oscar Isaac he's got no stake in the game. I mean, he was great at it. He was great at pulling off the different voices, and he's because he's a good actor, you know. Like, I loved him in Star Wars. I loved him in Sucker Punch. I love seeing him be a villain. I love seeing him be different characters. But I feel like they could have chosen somebody that isn't already well established, because, like, yeah, like Oscar Isaac, does he really need another property? I feel like somebody like Daveed Diggs, who is less well known. I mean, he's well known in the Hamilton circles, but he's not a household name yet like Oscar Isaac is, which he's now solidified because of Moon Knight. And I think that would have been nice if we had gotten an actual Jewish superhero. And, like, I feel like that's getting swept aside. His Jewishness is getting swept aside. I'm gonna ask my friend who did the write-up on my last video, I'm gonna ask their opinion and see what they think coming away from the show. So I'm not gonna say, like, my opinion is the most important here, because I'm not Jewish, but I am Latina, and I kind of felt like we're getting a lot of representation lately. Latinos are getting a lot of representation lately on the MCU. We have we had Salma Hayek in Eternals, and then we had oh god, what's her name? The deaf one in Eternals. I can't remember her actress's name, but hold on. Okay, so back. Lauren Ridloff, that's her name, was playing Makari, and she's Latina, and she's black, so an Afro-Latina, if you will. So we had Salma Hayek, Lauren Ridloff, both Latinas, and Latinas of color in the same movie. And then we have, I think there's rumors of Ghost Rider coming back with Gabriel Luna. And that looks really exciting. I really loved his time on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, not just that, but I mean, we also have Joaquin Torres in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm pretty sure he's going to be back for Cap 4. And we have Valkyrie's actress, Tessa Thompson, who's also Latina. And, like, we haven't had, like, an Encanto type, or like a Shang-Chi, or like a Black Panther movie where it's all Latinos, right? And I think I would prefer that over this Oscar Isaac. Like, he's not even portraying a Latina character. Like, one of his personalities is speaking Spanish, but there's no guarantee he's actually Latino, you know? Like, he could be a white Spaniard or whatever. I mean, I wasn't even sure I could place where his accent was coming from, but whatever. Yeah, so, like, I have a whole list of Latino and Latin actors. One of my blog, MCU fandom hates people of color, that people were very upset that for some weird reason that that we didn't have Latin superheroes, and I was like, we do. We have Makari. We have Salma Hayek's character was, hold on, Ajak. We have Valkyrie. She's not Latina in it. Like, her character isn't Latina, but I mean, she's an Afro-Latina in a big movie. And I think that's a big step forward. I mean, when are we gonna have our Encanto, Black Panther, Shang-Chi type movie? I don't know. I can't think of a good property that would be good for that besides the very obvious Miles Morales Spider-Man and Into the Spider-Verse, because he's, you know, his mom and dad are I'm pretty sure the dad speaks Spanish, or maybe it's just the mom. I have to read the comics again. But like that, for me, I felt like Latinos have a lot of representation so far in the MCU. And that's not even talking about some of the whitewashed Latinos in the Fox X-Men movies. Oh God. Like, don't even get me started. We had Sunspot that was whitewashed with a white Latino. We had some indigenous characters that were light-washed. But the big glaring one was definitely Sunspot. He went from being an Afro-Brazilian to being played by some white Brazilian. It's very unfortunate. And then so I mean, I try not to talk about those movies because technically they're not MCU, and we're gonna get a new version of the X-Men anyways. But also too, we've got America Chavez, who's gonna be in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. She's, to me, like, I don't need no like property that is just based in Latino America. Like, just the fact that America Chavez is queer, a young girl of color, is pretty great. And not to say that I find no issue with her casting, Sochi's casting. Like, I have to probably make a whole nother video about that, but and I probably will soon. It's just that I have to get my OBS working again. But yeah, like, I just feel like they wanted a big name Latino to put on screen in the MCU, and they don't want to do the work of actually making that effort into Latino culture, into Latinidad. And so they did. They hobbled together Mena influences for Moon Knight. They hobbled together Arabic influences, specifically Jewish influences, and all these things, and they hobbled it all together. And like, yeah, it's a well written show for what it is, but I felt like it was too rushed, and I felt like they were trying to do too many things, and like none of it was really well explained, and we're relying on gimmicks of like the little whatchamacallit, the little blackouts, like when he blacks out and he suddenly like knocked out a bunch of people or killed them or whatever. You know, I mean, I'm really tired. I do agree with BraiDIDbunch that there was a lot of moments where they taught me about Did, but also too, I don't like seeing Did characters portrayed as ultra violent and stuff. I don't think that's right. Honestly, I would have preferred Mark Spector be possessed. That's just my take. But like with anything, people are like, "Oh, well, it's representation for somebody, and they'll appreciate it." And it's like, that's true, but we're talking about a monopoly here in Disney Plus. Disney, the whole conglomerate, whatever. This company of companies where they make so much money. And I'm not saying we should all boycott Disney Plus. That's not what I'm saying at all. Like, Disney and all its properties, Star Wars, Marvel. I love Star Wars. I love Marvel. I loved Encanto. I love a lot of the stuff that comes out of Disney, and I've been a big fan of theirs for a long time. I just feel like they're kind of using like diversity points and not giving enough jobs behind the scenes as well as in front of the scene, and as on-screen talent, um to people who would actually give us authentic voices. I feel like we should be supporting more um indie creators with those marginalizations. So it's like we have the right to demand better representation because we're paying for these properties. We're giving them so much money. And like, I don't want to get into it too much, but like the whole thing where Disney had given money to that legislation, the Don't Say Gay bill, and then like there was that big backlash, and it's like, honestly, yes, they reversed their course and stuff, but like I'm not gonna say it's completely the fandom's fault that Fastos and Ben have been shoved aside. I mean, but it does have a lot to do with the fact that the Eternals is not set up for an immediate franchise. Like, we might get a second movie, we might not. Yeah, it did poorly because of the pandemic, but most people's takeaway, when you look up the Eternals cast, most people's takeaway was like Harry Styles. Okay? Like, this whole top line, all light-skinned people. And like, why is Kumail Nanjiani Kingo's down there, and why is Fastos down there? It's just like, that's the fandom for you. That's like, yeah, Harry Styles is a rich, white, cis male. I'm not gonna say anything about his sexuality because I honestly don't know. He seems like he's questioning sometimes, but whatever. Like, I feel like, especially with the latest trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder and the next Guardians movie, I feel like a lot of people are focusing on Thor and Peter Quill, and it's very white dude slashy. Like, there was just so much attention on them, and I feel like we have canon gay characters of color now with Fastos and Ben and their little son who rounded out their family, and I don't want the same thing to happen with America Chavez, that she gets shoved aside for the Benedict fans. And like, I'm just so tired. I'm so tired of the fandom picking the white people to ship and make their most popular pairings and stuff. I even have a friend who did a commission, and I will include that link down below. Did a commission on I should probably have just done an Eternals video, but anyways, I'm just gonna cut this part. I'm gonna cut this part out. Anyways, so yeah, I just feel like the Eternals was a bit of a diversity cash cow kind of thing. Not in the same way as Encanto, because Encanto actually had Lin-Manuel as a creator and in the behind the scenes, and had a lot of Latin voice talents and stuff. And Turning Red even had a lot of diversity behind the scenes as well. But yeah, I feel like it could have been done better. It could have been more meaningful representation. right now it's just like an exploitation of um right now Moon Knight is just an exploitation of people with did. And I feel like did I mention that there's this post that we had on Marvel, okay, MCU fandom hates people of color. It was a post that we did. Somebody had tweeted on that Brian Tyree Henry's the guy who played Fastos was not handsome. And it became one of those like viral posts, and a lot of people were like, how is this guy not handsome? He's very handsome. Of course he's handsome. It's fat phobia. It's anti-blackness. And then somebody was like, well, this isn't even what we should be talking about. I think that's what they said. We should be talking about how there's no Latino superheroes in MCU. And I was like, yeah, we do have a bunch, actually. And like it was anti-blackness for them to derail it that way. And I'm going to include the link in down below. But like, yeah, one of my co-mods, Melena, actually commissioned someone to do a gift set of Ben and Fastos kissing scene. And like there was that's a whole other shit show of how the fandom like doesn't want to pay attention to them. And like I feel like Marvel needs to up its game with having more queer rep. They need to do a little bit better. They could have if they had fleshed out Moon Knight a little bit more instead of 6 episodes. Like, why do the white protagonists in Marvel get the long form treatment and not the protagonists of color? Like, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier had 6 episodes. Loki had, 8 or 9? I think it was, maybe, let's say 8. I'll look it up later. But, and then, yeah, like, WandaVision had 9, I think. And it's just, it's frustrating. It's frustrating, and it's like, it's the kind of thing that makes me want to give up my subscription, but except like I'm actually making videos on them, so I guess I don't know. I feel like we need more queer rep. We need more Latin creators behind the Latin representation, because as it was, I do not count Jake as Latino rep, because he's being played by a Latino, but Oscar Isaac, to me, he reads as Sephardic Jewish, like that kind of where, because like I don't know if you know the history of Sephardic Jews, but so they were expelled from Spain in 1492. I think the year of the same year that Columbus came over and killed a bunch of natives. They expelled a bunch of Jewish people from Spain, and it, the Inquisition and everything, the Spanish Inquisition and everything, was about ferreting out the Muslims and the Jews. And like, to me, he reads as Sephardic Jewish, not as a Latino, which is fine, but they should have gotten somebody actually Jewish, if not Sephardic Jewish, at least somebody actually Jewish culturally, religiously, ethnically Jewish, you know? And I just don't believe that Oscar Isaac, with his claim that he might have some Jewish ancestry, which is where he gets the Isaac from, I don't think that cuts it. I don't think that's enough. And I'm not Jewish. I hope that you understand that I am speaking for people who are not as comfortable speaking in front of the camera. That's why I ask to but I would welcome your comments on this, and but be aware that if you are trolly and just want to stir up trouble, I will delete your comments. I am in the process of making my comments a little bit more filtered because I have gotten trolls on other videos. Nothing, no bad language, of course, but I don't remember. I just didn't pay a lot of attention to them. But yeah, so that's my take on Moon Knight. It could have been done better. We need more characters like Makari and Ajak and Joaquin Torres and America Chavez. We need more characters like that. And Valkyrie, I kind of take Valkyrie as Afro-Latina anyways, because she very much, Asgard was pictured as being very diverse. So she kind of does count as Latina. She kind of doesn't. But I don't know. I feel like it's going to be great seeing her in a position of power. So it'll be interesting. But so yeah, let me know what you think. I rambled on because I didn't have a script, and I'm very sorry about that. But am I gonna watch Moon Knight again? Probably, because he probably will have another property coming out. It's the beginning of a franchise. Just because Oscar Isaac didn't sign any papers about making anything beyond the show, I don't think he's gonna stop being Moon Knight. I think that's why I'm so pissed off, because he's clearly making a lot of money with this. And it's like, it could have gone to somebody who was actually Jewish. And that's just the short and long of it. So, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think on my comments or at my personal blog. I have a new Tumblr, AliceStreaming.tumblr.com. And yeah, tweet at me. Please reshare, like, and subscribe. If you like what I'm talking about, if you want to fight me on what I'm talking about, it's all welcome here. Thank you very much. Bye.